Keith, Gary and John were actually working in one of the void properties, and they heard a large explosion. And what they'd done was absolutely amazing.
We turned up, started emptying our flats, and then all of a sudden we hear this enormous bang.
Looks through, sees our foot roof missing, thinks, well, what's happened there, like? Keeps looking, next thing sees a bloke stand up.
John and Keith ran up to the next floor and I rang the fire brigade.
So we run upstairs, thinking nothing of it, and as we approached top of the stairs, we had a look through the top window to see directly into the bloke's flat what blew up, which was totally devastated by the blast. So me and John was a bit conscious there's going to be another explosion here. But we carried on, got to his front door.
As you opened the door, it had opened about 6 inches, something like that.
What was holding it back was the wall behind the door had exploded, covering the door.
Me and Keith forced our way in, out rubble, and then once we got in, we moved the rubble so the door would open wider. The guy wouldn't let us touch him.
And we could see him stood there, his arms and hands burnt, his face were burnt, his hair was smouldering. We coaxed him downstairs. He was terrified, the bloke, he was in shock obviously. We got halfway down, the fire brigade turned up and then they took over. Told us to evacuate, so evacuate we did.
I mean, basically they were risking lives, weren't they, going in? With building on fire, debris falling about and what, really brave lads. It's something like I'd be thinking twice about doing, but they didn't, they just went straight into it and did it, you know.
It's a good feeling that somebody would do things like that. I suppose these lads have gone off on instinct, and a lot of people have said, I wouldn't have done that, and you know, what they've been doing running up, I'd run away. But you don't know what you're going to do until you're in that situation.
Well, your instincts take over. You know there's somebody up there, you get up there and try and help them out.
And I think other people would have done it, but stand up and be proud of it, like, you know. It's a good thing that you've saved somebody's life.
We're going that extra mile day in, day out within the communities that we're working with. But we're really, really proud of them.
They're very modest about it as well. They didn't want any thanks, any reward or recognition. It's just something that the Mears people naturally do.
They were all congratulated on what they'd done when they came back to branch, but they took it in their stride and just carried on with the same thing the next day. For me, they've risked their own lives and their own safety, and it's just a fantastic achievement by themselves.
These lads, particularly working on the front end of an empty property, do have a difficult task day in, day out, but this was above and beyond. I like to think we don't come across that too often.
Laura is a star. There's no other word to describe her really. She's outstanding, she goes that extra mile. She's always got a smile on her face.
You've got to have it in you to be a carer, you know, it's not something you wake up overnight and you don't just wake up and think, oh well, I'll give that a bash tomorrow. You know, you've got to have it in you, you've got to be kind and caring, you've got to want to do it.
She's just come into this job just totally focused on looking after two people who, you know, suffer with severe dementia, and basically turning their lives around to enable them to stay in their own home.
Obviously with them both having dementia, they don't always know that, you know, it's me, I've been there like for the past 3 days, but they do respond differently to me than other carers.
It takes a special person, I think, to deal with people with dementia.
Stuff can still be done with them no matter how far advanced they are. You know, you can sit in, maybe you're sitting there for an hour colouring the same piece of the page, but if it means they're happy, you do what makes them happy, they deserve it, you know. No matter how old they are, they deserve to be looked after properly.
She's had them dancing, the couple dancing around the living room together because, you know, they've been married 64 years and, you know, they're very close with each other, and she's enabled them to still have that between each other.
2 daughters live away, so and they'll tell us when they phone up, you know, that they're grateful for it, and they know that I'll go an extra mile for the mum and dad.
The reason I've nominated Laura is because she's a perfect role model for anyone that wants to come into the care industry.
It's no good, like I say, going half-heartedly, 110%, so if it means I've got to go home and look on the internet for an hour at night as to how I can change what she does or something else, well, so be it. You know, like I say, you've just got to do what you can.
My job would be so easy if we had a lot of carers, or all of my carers, that have got the same mindset as what Laura has.
I thought I was just doing the same as what anyone else does, but obviously they think differently, and I am grateful. But we've got good support from our staff, of our coordinators and the managers, and I love my job. I wouldn't have it any other way. Sometimes you can go home and you're tearing your hair out. You can be shattered and you can be moody with your family because you've had a bad day, but I wouldn't have it any other way because I enjoy what I'm doing.
Well done, Laura, you really deserve it.
The handyman service came about through the tenants. They originally requested a service where they could get all their small DIY jobs done.
Mears chose Barry, and he's proved an absolutely fantastic success.
He's good with the tenants, he's good with people.
Barry's really fit the role and then some. All of our tenants absolutely love him.
Oh, he's great. He's lovely. He's brilliant. He's a nice fellow.
He's Barry, and that's all you can say, really. And he's well loved.
Everyone felt comfortable with him from the word go, and he does the job well, but he knows what makes people tick.
And I think the continuity of having the same person, he gets to know them, they get to know him, and the relationship builds from there, and it's a huge success.
Bye, love. See you again. It's nice to have someone to fall back on, to be honest, because you don't like to keep asking the family to do jobs. So you think, I'll ask Barry.
Above what you've asked him, if you've got another little job that's come along before it's been booked in, he'll do that. He's always cheerful, always pleasant.
He does go that extra mile, putting up Christmas decorations, and also coming up with ideas like making the ramps so that the tenants can do bowling. They just absolutely love him, as we do.
Friendly, helpful, amazing.
Anyone could have taken on that role, I think, but very few people would have been able to make it their own like Barry has. So I think it's down to him that it has been so successful.
It provides us with that safe, secure feeling that if Barry turns up, we know it's going to be fine. We've got no concerns whatsoever.
I know that if I ask for anything, I know the job's going to be done properly.
If I had a whole team of Barrys, my job would be so easy, I probably wouldn't even need to be here. He's that good.
Everybody at East Kent Housing would say, thank you, Barry, you're brilliant.
I mean, we all love Barry, everybody loves Barry. That's why we put him up for this, because we think he deserves it.
He just does that little bit more, and he's got that little bit extra that he does, and I think it would be fantastic if he got the award.
And my message to Barry would be to keep up the good work, and he absolutely deserves to win an award for what he does, and not to be embarrassed about it, because I'm sure he will be, because he's so humble, and just that everybody at Canterbury really appreciates what you do for us.
Don't give up your job, Barry, we all need you.
Thank you, Barry.
If we're there at somebody's property and there's something we can help with that's not going to interfere with work and make them happier, that's what we're all about, making that happen.
I feel satisfied myself when I can help somebody in that way, and that's just the way I am, like.
Kevin and Tony are roofers. They saw that this particular tenant's garden was absolutely out of control.
They took it upon themselves to let the tenant know that they go back and help clear and clean up their garden.
She goes, how much? She goes, no, we don't charge for it. We'll do all the labour and get rid of the rubbish free of charge for you.
It wasn't even them who told us, it was a couple of their colleagues said, oh, you're going to, tell them about the garden that you did.
We done all the work over the weekend. I think we went back on the Sunday morning. We done it main work on the Saturday, and then we done a little bit and just tidied up a bit on the Sunday.
Kevin and Tony are humble individuals that do a great job for us. To go and overhaul the garden, do anything in a weekend, I just think is a shining example of not only doing your job and caring about your community, but going the extra mile.
They should win this award, I think, because they have done this purely off their own backs. They haven't gone out looking for any form of recognition whatsoever. and I think that makes it special.
Kevin and Tony care, and I think they really genuinely do care.
Seeing the customers' reaction to it afterwards, it is a good feeling.
Giving up 4 or 5 hours of your time of a weekend. If you're not going to do nothing the weekend, you've got nothing to do the weekend. I'll go and help somebody.
It might just be something small in the scheme of things, but to that lady, they've made a complete difference.
I just think is an absolutely fantastic show of generosity, and I genuinely think their name should be put up in lights within the group and wider.